A supporter is someone who offers encouragement, assistance, or emotional support to another person with the intentions of helping them grow, develop, or overcome challenges. Support is generally aimed at the other person's well being and personal growth. You can say a supporter is almost like having your own personal cheerleader. They're going to motivate you. They're going to say something positive that's going to get you activated and that's going to make you want to get up and conquer that goal that you set out or do something that you thought you could not do. So think of a supporter as your personal cheerleader. Supporters maintain healthy boundaries. They offer help and encouragement, but do not enable or encourage negative behavior. Now, let's go back to having personal cheerleaders. When you're watching a game, say it's a football game, and there are cheerleaders, where are the cheerleaders? They are on the sideline. They're not out on the field trying to be a football player. They're not trying to act as though they're a football player and do football player moves. They're on the sideline and they are cheering. So when you are a supporter, you need to maintain those healthy boundaries. That means you're not out there trying to do that person's work. You're not trying to set that person's goal for them. You are on the sideline. You are cheering them on. You're motivating them. You're encouraging them. You're speaking positively and pouring into them. But just remember, you are not them. You are not doing their job for them. You are a supporter. Supporters aim to empower the other person to make positive changes in their life. They often provide resources, guidance, and a listening ear. Now, once again, I'm going to use cheerleaders. They are providing guidance. If you ever listen to a cheer, push them back, way back. What are they doing? They're guiding them using their words. So I need you to think about that. Once again, you are providing guidance, you are giving resources, and you are giving that listening ear. So that way you are helping that individual make positive change in their lives. An enabler is someone who often unintentionally supports or facilitates negative or harmful behavior in another person. This can involve actions or decisions that enable addiction, codependency, or self destructive habits. Now I'm going to give two examples. One, let's say you have a family member who is addicted to drugs and they come to you and they constantly ask you for money and you continue to give them the money knowing full well where the money is going. You are enabling that person's drug addiction. Another example, you have a friend who is a whiner and they whine about everything, but they only whine because they want you to do the task for them. And you get tired of hearing them whine, and you be like, you know what? I'll just do it. That is an enabler. You are causing them to continue with that negative behavior of whining. Why? Because you don't want to hear it anymore. But in the process, you're doing the work for them. So this is the way that they feel they're going to communicate with you by whining, because they know if I whine, she's going to do it for me. So let me just whine so she can do it for me. So you are enabling that negative behavior. Enablers typically have difficulty setting and maintaining healthy boundaries. They may prioritize the other person's immediate wants or needs over their long term well being. Now, this is a little off for immediate wants and needs, but let's say as a parent, you can be an enabler to your child. And you're thinking, how? You have little children. So you know that your children are capable of making their bed in the morning. Your children are capable of making breakfast in the morning. But yet in the morning, you come in and say, is your bed made? You look, you see the bed's not made, but you go and make it instead of saying, I need you to go make your bed. And then when it's time for breakfast, they have everything out that they need. All they have to do is pour their own cereal or milk or put their own little pre-waffles inside the little toaster. Instead, you look and you go, you know what? I'm going to do this for you because if y'all do it, it's going to take all day long. And so you're enabling them. So guess what? They're going to come to expect that from you. They're going to expect you to make their beds. They're going to expect you to always make their breakfast. Why? Because you started this behavior and this routine, and now they're used to it. So that is considered enabling. Another example can be if you are a teacher and you are teaching a lesson. And say, for example, it's a math lesson and you want the child to add 5 plus 3. It could be a harder problem. To use 5 plus 3 as an example. You want them to add 5 plus 3. And you say, okay, now tell me, what is 5 plus 3? This child has to pull out their fingers or their markers or their crayons and they have to put 5 objects down. Then they have to put 3 more objects down. And then after they do that, they go back and count the first 5 objects and then they add on and then count the next 3 objects. And then they finally give you the answer. So now, next time you call on them, what is 6 plus 7? And you see that they start pulling out their crayons and their pencils to get the answer. And you go, you know what? Never mind. 6 plus 7, 6 plus 7. I'm going to tell you what 6 plus 7 is because we need to move on. That is enabling a child. Why? Because that child is trying to use the skills that you taught them to solve that problem. But instead of you being patient and maintaining your boundaries as a teacher and supporting them and helping them to find the answer, you are giving them the answer because it is taking too long and you're rushing through that lesson or you're just rushing through that time. So now you are enabling that child. So after a while, that child is going to expect you to give them the answers when you ask them for the answers. They're going to stop and they're just going to wait because they're used to you giving the answers. So that is another example of enabling. Enabling behavior is usually well intentioned, but it can be unintended consequences. Enablers may provide financial, emotional, or other forms of support that perpetuate the problems they are trying to help the other person overcome. Let's say you are a parent, or it might be your spouse, and you're trying to help them with their finances. So you all may have a joint checking account, and you're telling this person they have to limit their spending because they are getting a lot of overdraft fees because they're spending money they don't have. So now you're supposed to be assisting them and supporting them and encouraging them not to spend as much. And you're monitoring the account to say, look, you have this much in. So that means you cannot spend any more until the next time you put a paycheck in or put other money inside of the account. But now you have become an enabler because now when you see that the account is running low, instead of saying, hey, the account is running low, you're putting money in the account because you do not want them to have an overdraft fee. Because in your head, you're saying, they're supposed to be watching their money and they're supposed to be trying to make sure that they're financially stable. But if they continue to get these overdraft fees, that's extra fees that they have to pay that they don't have the money for. But you are enabling and you're encouraging the spending because they're not ever really seeing the overdrafts. So they're not feeling that hit of them having to pay that fee because you're always paying it for them, or you're putting money in before it becomes overdrafts. So now they're just like, oh, I have money in the account, I'm going to spend this money. And you on the other end, you know what's going on, but yet you're not saying anything. So that is an enabler. Another example of enabling can be, let's say you have a coworker that is always late to work, but you're always trying to cover for them and you're giving excuses as to why they're late. And you are pretty good at giving excuses and the boss likes you. So they're not really saying anything to the coworker because you are covering for the coworker. But you are enabling that coworker to continue to come to work late. Why? Because they know that you're going to speak on their behalf and they know that you have the boss's ear. So that is an enabling behavior. All right, last example. Last example. Okay, let's say that you have a friend who was told by the doctors that they have to stop drinking caffeine. But you and your friend's routine every morning is that you stop and you go and you get your coffee from Dunkin's every morning. But now your friend has this doctor's report stating they have to stop with the caffeine. So you have become an enabler, and I'm going to tell you why. because you know that your friend is not supposed to have the caffeine, but you always say, girl, we know today's going to be a rough day and we need our caffeine to get us started. This little cup of coffee not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt you. You're going to be all right. Just make sure you don't have any more today. That is an enabler. Why? Because you know the person is not supposed to be drinking coffee, but yet you are encouraging them because you're making it seem like you're looking out for their best interest, which you may be. But on the upside of that, or the flip side is not upside because their health is deteriorating. They're getting sick, or whatever the cause of them having the caffeine is still going on with them. So you are not helping that situation. So that is another example of being an enabler. I am your empowerment strategist who help you create positive change, achieve goals, and have empowered lives. If you need my assistance, check out www.eoechangeagent.com. That stands for Empowering Others to Excel. I am here to help you. Check out the consultations and let's chat.